we're going to go ahead and begin our budget presentation. So the budget proposal that we put together every year is the most important document that we as a city put out. It certainly reflects where the city is going, what our values are, and how we're going to spend and save for each year that goes on. I also want to just note that the team's been working very hard. Budgets develop over the course of the entire year. And it really takes in what the city council has been discussing, what the staff has set aside as priorities, and what we see what's happening out in the community. The budget, and what you're going to hear, the majority of the budget will be reviewed by our city manager. All of the proposals and the budget as presented by the city manager is something we've been working on for many months, and I support. Beyond what we put together as a team, and particularly with the department heads, I've added some additional recommendations on top of those that we didn't discuss throughout the budget process, which we've put in over the last few weeks. Some of which you'll hear right now in just a minute, and then we'll answer questions as well. And so we're pretty excited about where the budget is, and like we've done every year, the budget that we're presenting to all of you is balanced, it's responsible, and it's forward-thinking. So the budget itself is a $2.8 billion budget, and it's important to note that the city has many departments. That includes large departments like the Port of Long Beach. That includes other departments like the Water Department that are departments that are set through the charter, of which we appoint commissions to kind of operate those budgets. And then, of course, we have our departments that are part of the general fund departments, and those include police and fire, parks and library. But the other parts of the budget are also a part of our larger structure. And so when you see the port, which is the largest piece of the city, and the investments that they're making on infrastructure and the bridge and so much more, that all makes up the city of Long Beach. Want to start by addressing what is the single biggest challenge we have in Long Beach, and that is addressing homelessness. There is no larger challenge that we face as a city. This budget includes about $30 million in total funding for addressing homelessness, and that includes money that we're receiving directly from the state. The $10 million in the new program from the state is directly related to advocacy that's been done on behalf of the largest cities and my colleagues as mayors. Of course, money we receive from Measure H, and our money we get from grants and our health department. So it's the largest part of our budget, and it's something that we're very proud of. We're also putting in new resources in this budget to ensure that the recommendations from our Everyone Home Task Force get implemented. One thing in the recommendations that I'm making that you will all have a copy of is I'm also making it very clear that we will be using, and in this year's budget, money we receive from the state to assist with our tenant relocation program. When the council passed its tenant relocation program, it was important to also ensure that we were providing support for people with disabilities and for seniors in our community that needed not just what the council adopted, but that needed additional support beyond that in a possible $1,000 additional grant. And so we'll be looking to this year's budget, and my recommendations to the council will be to make sure that the top of that list is supporting our tenant relocation fund that was recently created by the Long Beach City Council, and you'll see that in my recommendations. We're making significant investments in public safety in this budget, and you'll see those, of course. You've seen a lot of the restorations that we have made. But I do want to also point out the one thing that we are also doing is the city has now about half of our patrol units have body-worn cameras and have those. This year's budget will fully fund our body-worn camera program. And so this year's budget, if adopted by the council as is, will ensure that all of our patrol units and all four of our divisions and our officers have body-worn cameras in this year's budget. It also makes permanent our mental health clinician in our jail, which was a pilot last year, which we're also now including fully as well. And of course, we have significant investment in infrastructure. I've said many times that our budget is, and as we move forward, thanks to Measure A, we're investing the most in infrastructure than we have in a generation. and that continues to be the case with construction happening all across the city. The next announcement is one, and probably the announcement I'm most excited about from a new program perspective. We're announcing today in the budget, as part of my recommendations, to launch a new transit pass called the Promise Pass. We're proud to partner with Long Beach City College, Cal State Long Beach Transit, and Long Beach Unified to launch a transit pass for our students. Currently, both Cal State Long Beach and Long Beach City have programs in place. Long Beach City recently launched a pilot program. Cal State Long Beach has a program that exists on campus. But for us to really be able to support more students and create a true pass that supports all of our students, we are going to be creating and forming a group with the presidents to develop this Promise Pass, really based on our College Promise model. This will ensure that Long Beach City College and Cal State Long Beach students have access to free and or reduced transit on our Long Beach transit system. I'm setting aside $350,000 in this year's budget, both from Long Beach Transit funds as well as from the city, to launch this pilot program and to create this foundation for the development of this program. This will ensure that students are able to get to work and to school in a way that's not burdensome to them financially. It'll also create I believe, an even safer system by bringing more students onto our transit bus system and help us achieve our goals as they relate to climate change and multimodal transit. Both the president of Cal State Long Beach and the president of Long Beach City are very excited about this program. We've been talking about it for a few months, and we'll have a lot of details as we roll this program out in the future. But we are announcing the College Promise Pass will be a new transit pass for all of our students at Long Beach City College and Cal State Long Beach, and we're pretty excited to announce that today. In addition, we have a lot of enhancements for our neighborhoods you will see in the budget. And I'm not listing all the enhancements, but there are some that are pretty important. This includes, for example, an additional clean team. I've asked, on top of the recommendation from staff, to add one more clean team. We began, I believe 3 years ago, we included in the budget the first ever Long Beach clean team. And we expanded that to, I believe now we're up to 3 clean team crews. Now I'm asking for a 4th clean team crew. I do believe that Long Beach can be the cleanest big city in the United States. We are now aggressively cleaning corridors and streets all across the city. And these teams are out there picking up dumped items, working with our Go Long Beach app, and making sure the community is clean. And so this 4th additional team will allow us to even do more of that work and reach a lot more of the city more consistently. We are, in this budget, I have funded all of the replacement trees for Daisy Lane and Wrigley. It was a request from them. We have not yet been able to fund those trees. Those will get done. We're also funding the next phase of the Bluff Park Historic Street Lamp Project, which is a wonderful project out in Bluff Park, which has been a big request for the community. And I want to thank both on the Daisy Lane project, Councilmember Uranga for being a great advocate for that, and for the Bluff Park Historic Street Lamp Project, Councilwoman Susie Price has also been a great advocate in ensuring that this project gets done. And working with Councilwoman Mungo and others in the community, particularly members of our community that are living and living their full lives with disabilities. We're also put aside dollars to create the first fully ADA accessible playground at El Dorado Park. This is something we hope to work with our commission on as well, and that will begin the planning for this project. There are a lot of other smaller projects that I'm not going to call out per se, but you will see, for example, some smaller initiatives. We included, for example, $125,000 for a special project that's kind of dear to my heart, and that is digitizing all the old press telegrams from the early 1900s that are essentially sitting in boxes and not digitized, so the public they're not accessible to the public, and they can be lost if they're not saved. And so we've set aside money to digitize all of our old newspapers into our library system, working with Long Beach Heritage and others to make sure that gets done. And so I'm excited to fund that in this budget, as well as other projects like continuing some additional planning dollars so that the community that's planning the African American Cultural Center that is able to continue with some additional planning dollars. I want to note also, and the city manager will talk about these, we have had requests from members of the community on a variety of issues. This budget funds at, I believe, almost $1 million our efforts around the census and our redistricting efforts in 2020. The census is an extremely important part of this budget, which the city manager will talk about. If we're not completely counted, we will lose federal funds in the future. And so that includes $600,000 from the city and I believe about $350,000 from the county grant that we've received. And so those dollars will go to our internal efforts as well as grants to community organizations that are going to help us ensure a complete count. And so we're proud of almost $1 million being put into that effort. And another request from a couple council members was to ensure that we made our language access policy strong and that we're moving from a part-time language access policy person to a full-time member as part of the city manager's recommendation. So those are noted in the budget as well. The next new initiative is important. Some of you were there when we launched our HIV/STD strategy just a few months ago, which is a comprehensive strategy on bringing down HIV rates in Long Beach. We are aware that Long Beach, with a few other cities, have the largest HIV percentage rates in the state of California. It's also true that HIV, both infection and treatment, directly relate to the size of your LGBTQ population, particularly when it comes and it relates to gay men. And so cities like Long Beach and West Hollywood and San Francisco have larger rates than other parts of the city. So we are working with the health department and have set aside $500,000 within the health department fund to bring in 2 positions for outreach efforts to do testing over 2 years for the city. This is on top of education and outreach support that will exist within the budget that the city manager will discuss briefly as well. We believe that we can reduce HIV and STDs in Long Beach. This is a significant investment that speaks to community health and one that is now affecting not just folks who are LGBTQ, but other communities, particularly in North Long Beach, that we've seen, and we need to make sure that that rate comes down. Also happy to announce that we'll be partnering this year with newly elected State Senator Gonzalez on this plan, and she will be looking at introducing legislation in this next session to bring the city even more resources to address the plan that we've put together through the health department. And so we're looking forward to that partnership with her and her team. Looking to the future, our budget is structurally balanced. We continue to be prudent and have good investments. And we, like I've always said, we balance the budget every single year. I'll note that when I came into office and we worked with this team, our pension liability was at about $1.8 billion. We get asked a lot about our pension liability. Our pension liability is now down to about $1 billion. And the way pension funds work and the way the pension system works is it'll go up and down depending on the year. But what's important is the overall trajectory. And while our pension liability might go up and might go down year after year, it certainly will not be going back up to $1.8 billion. And so from 1.8 to 1, where we are now, over the course of the last 5 years, we are absolutely in the right direction. And over the next 5 years, that number will go up some, will go down some depending on the year, but it will continue to overall go down. So as far as being responsible as a city, it's not just funding our programs that are necessary for us to be successful. We are also reducing and cutting that long-term pension liability at the city, and I think that's also something very, very important. And so with that, I want to note that we're proud of the work that the city manager has done to produce the budget. You've heard about some of the new programs, particularly the Promise Pass, our HIV strategy, and some of the funding for these infrastructure neighborhood projects that we're excited about. And I'm going to turn this over to our city manager to go into more details.
Hi, everybody. This is our fiscal year 2020 proposed budget. First, I just want to welcome everybody to the new City Hall. We're here at day 3, and this is the first real meeting we're having in this press room, so enjoy that. And again, thanks for all for being here. So this budget has a lot to celebrate. We have just entered a civic center and a port building that have just been completed with council chambers. We have a world-class main library opening in September, the Billie Jean King Main Library. That library, when you get a chance to look inside, it'll knock your socks off. You'll know immediately that this is a world-class library. It is just simply beautiful. We've been named the 18th best park system in the country. We'll soon be embarking on a 3.5-acre park opening in the downtown. That's primarily the old Lincoln Park, and we'll be replacing that. We have billions of dollars worth of construction underway throughout the city. It's not just private, it's not just public. And also, it's not in just the downtown or Belmont Shore or some other area or the port. This is in the entire 52 square miles of our city. You'll see public construction going, private construction. It's just amazing as you drive our corridors and see all the work that's happening through our city right now. Chronic homelessness has decreased in 2019. It also decreased 2 years ago in 2017. So we're making a dent in that, but as the mayor said, it is our biggest challenge here. We've been designated as one of the most walkable cities, not just California anymore, and we were the most walkable city in California. Now we're one of the most walkable cities in the entire United States. We continue to be a top 10 digital city. We continue to be one of the nation's best cities for LGBTQ inclusion. And we await the 2028 Summer Olympics and Paralympic Games. We're going to be hosting quite a few events, and we'll have the largest Olympic village outside of the city of Los Angeles. We have many new initiatives that are underway, and we're going to focus on those a little bit. One is the ERP system. This is basically an enterprise resource planning project. We affectionately call it Long Beach Coast. This project continues to modernize our city's HR system, finance, and budget systems. It is truly the biggest technological effort in the city's history, and it came at the same time we're doing the move, and it's transitioned over here. We still have a little ways to go with it, but it's going great, and I thank the team that's leading that. Our community health efforts include launching the Long Beach HIV STD strategy. As the mayor just pointed out, we have a task force. They produced a document. We're going to be following those recommendations, and there's money in the budget to do that. We use data to drive our capital investment. So you're seeing pavement management plans in the budget. You're seeing alley management plans. You're seeing a sidewalk management plan, and we're adding something new. It's a facility condition assessment. So where we put our precious public dollars will be driven by data, as opposed to not using data. Our mobility efficiencies include pay-by-phone parking for all of our new parking meters and smart meters that are going in where we have meters. E-scooter programs, we continue to work with that, and also bike boulevards throughout the city. Our sustainability efforts include climate action plan. We're big on that. We have a solar installation program that we're doing, and also we're implementing electronic vehicle charging stations throughout the city. Not only just those required by law, but those that just make sense. We're improving our community services through a park strategic plan. Our Parks Rec and Marine Director, Gerardo Moet, is in the middle of putting together that, and that'll come before the commission and the city council. And there's many others in the budget book. If you take a look at the innovations and efficiency sections, it'll just blow your mind, all the stuff that's in that section in the budget book. So we're a big city. We're a big city. We're about 500,000 population, 52 square miles. We're over 130 years old. We're a big full-service city, and we know that. We provide a wide array of services with 23 departments. Now, what is a service? A lot of people say, what service do I get from the city? Well, anytime you dial 911, whether it's for PD or for whether it's fire, somebody's going to show up within a matter of minutes. That's probably one of the biggest services that you can provide for a community. We also, in this city, have over 170 parks that we build and maintain and work with communities. We have 12 libraries throughout our city. We guarantee that we have pothole repair that's done timely, whether it's on arterial or residential streets. We have probably one of the best graffiti removal programs in the entire United States. We're pretty much routinely eliminating graffiti within 24 hours. We also have illegal dumped item pickup. So that's one of the things that we're really, really big on, is to be a clean big city. As the mayor pointed out, we're going to be adding a new clean team that will help us throughout our entire 52 square miles to stay clean and stay that way. We have small business loans, a world-class airport, and a career and job training system. So we're a big full-service city. So as a full-service city, we're a large, complex organization, 23 departments. That includes 38 financial funds, 38. Our entire budget, as the mayor pointed out, is $2.8 billion this year. It's usually around $3 billion, take a few $100,000, but we're at $2.8 billion this year. That $2.8 billion has been submitted to the mayor. The mayor submitted it to the council today. So the council will be reviewing all of the budgets in the city, and that includes the entire amount, all $2.8 billion. We have things like an enterprise fund. That's $1 billion, and this fund operates for charging services such as the airport, for the businesses that charge for services, the airport, harbor, water, among others. We have an $85 million capital projects fund. This fund takes care of our federal, state, county grants, impact fees, Measure A, things like that. We have a debt service fund. That's $35 million. That funds the payment of general government debt. We have an internal services fund of $503 million. Uplands Oil Fund of $12 million. A Tidelands Fund of $207 million. And a special revenue fund of $257 million. That leaves us with the general fund, which is $554 million. And that's our truly discretionary fund that we'll spend most of the time in the budget dealing with that. So look at funding our general fund services. This is the $551 million pie that we just talked about a second ago. Our general fund is completely discretionary. It's about 20% of that about the entire budget. It's primarily supported by general tax revenues. So as you see the pie there, basically 70% of all of our money in the general fund goes to police, fire, and dispatching. So we put our money where our mouth is when it talks about public safety. The rest, as you can see, 8% for public works, 7% for Parks, Rec, and Marine, and so on. So you can see clearly where the dollars go. So here's our budget process that you're witnessing today. The city manager recommends the overall financial and programmatic direction of the city. I recommend that. I take that to the mayor. The mayor adds his add-ons, and we review that, and then he submits it to the city council. The city manager recommends the specific budgets for the city manager departments. They go to the city council. The elected offices present their own budgets in conformance with the city manager's guidelines. The harbor and water departments are governed by mayor-appointed commissions, and those departments' budgets are submitted by the commissions to the city council. The mayor talked about addressing homelessness. It is front and center. One of the things, I know Kelly's in the audience today with our Health and Human Services that has our housing bureau. We have permanently housed over 5,000 people since 2013. Think about that metric a moment. That's close to 1,000 people on the streets in the city of Long Beach that have been housed permanently. That's just an amazing statistic. So we congratulate the team for doing that kind of stuff. We are receiving $27 million from the we're receiving $27 million from grants, including $5 million from County Measure H, $12.3 million from HEAP. Now I want to point out that this isn't just manna that falls from heaven. Grants don't go to cities unless cities are doing wildly successful things. This city is doing wildly successful things. That's why we're getting this grant money. If we weren't doing these things, if we didn't have these bureaus and these hardworking employees and policy direction by the city council, these grants wouldn't be coming to the city of Long Beach. So we just do a great job, and we're lucky enough to get that. We're continuing our Everyone Home Long Beach Task Force. They're reporting on goals, including a 125-bed shelter in North Long Beach. We've just closed escrow on that property, so we'll soon be getting together with the community and the council offices and programming that. We have $255,000 of general fund one-time dollars toward activities such as rapid response, cleanup, outreach. So if someone sees an encampment, sees homeless folk, you can call a number and we'll go out there and address that as well as we can. $25,000 for ongoing utility costs for something called our Housing Navigation Center. We just purchased this. This is a building that we purchased. It's a warehouse where homeless folk can store their stuff. Many homeless folk have medical needs, and they can't get to those medical needs, those appointments on a bus, because they can't leave their stuff alone. They're afraid if their stuff gets left on the street, somebody will pick it up, it'll get stolen. So we've created a shop where you can go to this navigation center, drop your stuff off, and then you can get on a bus, you can go to a doctor's office, you can take all the free appointments that we have scheduled for you through our multi-service center, and come back and know that you can get your stuff, your materials, and it's free, and check it back out. So right now we're finding that possessions are keeping people from going into doctor's offices because they can't take their shopping cart and all those other things. And then we have continued work on initiatives such as our implementation of the Safe Parking Program and Jobs Program. So you'll see those things getting rolled out shortly. Affordable housing continues to be a city commitment. I want to point out that this has always been a city commitment. It's in the past been funded through the city's redevelopment agency. Now that that's over, it's now embedded into the city budget. So this budget continues to reflect that commitment to affordable housing. Currently, this past year, we're preserving and constructing approximately 650 affordable housing units that serve low-income households, including homeless households. We continued work on an important housing policy item, including inclusionary housing policies, and you'll see that coming before the City Council very, very shortly. Public safety is always our top priority. It's the top priority of any city in America. We have public safety positions that have been maintained by Measure A, and that's been increased up to 121 positions. As the mayor pointed out, for body-worn cameras, this budget includes 9 positions for body-worn camera program, but those positions will also help us support the state mandates such as SB 1421 for public records documents to release that to folk. This budget includes 2 positions for the Justice Lab. It includes $100,000 of Measure A money to continue our jail mental health clinician, which we started last year as a pilot program. $2.2 million of Measure A one-time funds for the police department's Neighborhood Safe Streets initiative, and $800,000 of the general fund and $1.4 million of Measure A funds to support the cost of police academies. Our public safety continuum continues to address social needs as well as public safety needs. This budget provides services such as parks, recreation, marinas, library services, health services, code enforcement, and others to promote a safe and healthy community. This also supports efforts to address social needs. We have, as the mayor pointed out, a full-time language access program position now, full-time structurally, in addition to $80,000 of one-time in the general fund to support that position. In the Long Beach Animal Care arena, we have an adoption coordinator and administrative support positions to manage animal care service adoption and volunteer programming. In addition to that, we have $100,000 to support those who want to provide donations to our Long Beach Animal Care Center in those services. We can't ignore economic development as it protects our city's future. This is a huge part of what we do and what we will continue to do. This past year, the city adopted a 10-year economic blueprint. So we're in the middle of implementing that and working through that. You'll see us continue to work on a citywide market for hourly labor programs. Researching the creation of opportunity zones. That's a new thing that the federal government gave us in 2017, and all over the country cities are trying to implement those. We want to expand the small business loan program. 2 positions have been added to administer the short-term rental program. $128,000 in development services for project planning, technology improvements, including web-based fee calculators and a form submittal portal. We also have $136,000 in development services for state building codes training for a better permit center assistant. So that's now here on the 2nd floor, and it's going smoothly for the last couple days, and I hope everybody gets a chance to visit the permit center. We have done a lot of efficiencies as we cut this budget or add to this budget over the past decade or so, and that helps our services make the city strong. As the mayor pointed out regarding the census, we're putting a full $1 million toward the 2020 census count, along with redrawing our district boundaries. $600,000 is in the budget, as well as $350,000 is coming to us from the county. I cannot tell you how incredibly seriously we're taking the census. Our deputy city manager, Kevin Jackson, is taking the lead on that with a committee, a census committee, and working with that, and that's going to be incredibly important to the city of Long Beach, so we want everyone to be counted. There's no question about that. We're adding 2 positions in our civil service department to strengthen our hiring process, and basically 7 net positions have been added to support our ERP system that I talked about earlier, and that's all been offset by staffing consolidations. Art, culture, and communication. You cannot be a vibrant community without supporting the arts and culture. I think that's a fact. Cities that ignore art and culture ignore so at their own peril, and they're not vibrant cities. Anytime we travel at any city throughout planet Earth, you see arts and culture, and that's what makes a vibrant city and why we want to be a tourist there or visit those. We do a great job here, and we want to do a greater job. This budget supports art, culture, and tourism, and communications to make us a vibrant city. This also includes our Convention and Visitors Bureau under the leadership of Steve Goodling to help us in that vein as well. This includes $200,000 for planning support for co-hosting the Summer Olympic Games, $50,000 to support Powwow for our art murals. I hope everybody's seen those go around. We have 20 brand new art murals that are just about done throughout the city. This is our 5th year of hosting Powwow, and that has given us approximately 100 murals over these past 5 years. I cannot tell you how they've changed the face of our corridor. So we all fight every year when Powwow's coming to town as the department heads. We fight on what buildings and where can we have those Powwow murals. So back in the day, they kind of all started in the private buildings, and now we want to put them on all our public buildings. They're just fantastic. We have $250,000 for wayfinding signage and historical plaques throughout the city to maintain our historic legacy. And $50,000 are set aside for matching funds to support the Arts Council of Long Beach. So there is funding for infrastructure to keep our city's foundation firm, foundation in streets and sidewalks and gutters and all that stuff. We propose a robust capital improvement program to invest in our city's aging and deteriorating infrastructure. $117 million in capital improvement program this year. That includes $19.5 million from Measure A. This will invest approximately $55 million in mobility, $11 million in public facilities, parks and recreation, about $2 million, beaches and waterways, about $2 million, utilities, about $44 million, and the airport, about $4 million. We continue to invest in critical needs and livability. This strengthens our city. We believe mobility, livability, arts, culture, this all strengthens our city. We continue to invest these to safeguard and promote our overall livability. We have $1 million to support the seismic retrofit of Community Hospital there at the traffic circle. We have 2 positions to implement a multimodal transport initiative, such as the emerging micromobility programs that the mayor talked about. We have $1 million from the AB 32 cap and trade funds. This will assist low-income households with energy efficiency improvements to single-family homes and to support the electric vehicle program to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So the budget is balanced using council-reviewed guidelines. Parking fines increases will help with revenue. We want to minimize the one-times due to lack of available resources, minimize enhancements to avoid offsetting service reductions, and at this time, there's no structural funding for possible labor costs. These are COLAs, and we're negotiating with our 11 labor organizations right now. So this would be the small print of the budget. Challenges coming soon, expenses growing faster than revenues. Any city in America has that. We're predicting shortfalls over the next 2 to 3 years, and likely to require service reductions perhaps as we go forward. Again, it's hard to predict your outlying years, but we do a good job of trying to know what next year or the 3rd year is going to look out. And there continue to be unfunded, underfunded needs that do remain. So approaches to challenges. We're going to continue to be entrepreneurial. We're going to continue to be open for business. We're going to encourage the appropriate development opportunities from the private sector and work with them in the public sector as we do our public-private partnerships, and we're one of the leaders in America on that. We want to prioritize in this budget to identify approaches to address future projected shortfalls. We want to maintain good financial and operational practices and management, which quite honestly, this city council, this mayor, they've knocked it out of the park. I mean, if you open a textbook, Long Beach should be front and center on great financial and operational practices. So they've been a great, great partner in delivering this budget. We're also using a zero-sum budget. Any new or expanded services in this budget have at least an offsetting reduction or a lower priority of service. So again, I just want to remind us all, we're a great city. We are a great city. We have many strengths and opportunities. We have an excellent economy with much development and redevelopment. We're a full, vibrant, full-service city. We have a history of strong financial management and financial policies. We have positive reviews from independent reviews like from bond rating agencies and other independent third-party financial institutions. We have a structurally balanced budget and good reserves. So let's quickly take a look at the budget timeframe and where we've been to get to today and what's going to happen in the next month.
Before you go there, Pat.
Yes, sir.
Go back a slide. I just want to, when the city manager says we have positive reviews for independent reviews and bond rating agencies, we have a AA credit rating. So I just want to make sure that it's also very clear that the independent agencies look at the city as having very strong financial management, and we have a AA credit rating. Not every city has that. Certainly not cities our size all have that. And it's something that we're very proud of, and we work really hard to not only have internal confidence in our budget process and how we budget, but that the independent agencies that review the process give us their highest marks. So thank you.
Great, and I do want to echo what the mayor said. Not every city has that. We're pretty lucky with the leadership that gets us there. So the timeline through today. So on December 18th, there was a fiscal year 20 budget preliminary status and city manager's budget approach meeting with council. April 4th, there was a projection update for the fiscal year 20 budget and status of the development of with a budget memo to the city council on how we're doing. On July 3rd, we submitted the proposed budget to the mayor as required by the charter. And today, July 31st, the mayor is submitting the city manager's budget and his recommendations to the city council as per the charter. Upcoming throughout the next month or so, in August, you're going to see a variety of community budget meetings. Each one of the 9 council districts will be hosting budget meetings in their districts. Those are being scheduled today. Right now, I think most of them are already set. So throughout August, there's a blue sheet that Tracy's holding, so you can grab that sheet on the way out. It's in your folder. So that documents where these meetings are going to be. Every citizen can go to every single meeting. You don't have to go to the meeting that's in your district. You can go to any meeting that you want. In addition to that, we're going to have one bilingual meeting in Spanish. But in addition to that, we're going to have a meeting that's set in 4 languages. So for everybody in the city. So we're going to do that. That's something we've never done before, and we're looking forward to that. In August and September, there's going to be budget oversight committee meetings. These are led by 3 council members who are on the budget oversight committee, led by Chair Stacy Mungo, the councilwoman. And that'll happen throughout the month of August and September. August 13th is the first budget hearing. So you'll hear, I believe, the public safety departments and Parks, Rec, and Marine on August 13th. On August 20th, there will be another budget review session, and you'll hear development services, public works, probably a couple other departments. Then on September 3rd, there will be another budget hearing. Perhaps other departments will present, but that will be the first time that the council has the opportunity to approve the budget or approve a portion on the budget. And then finally, September 10th, the council has to approve the budget, and that's per charter. So there's lots of opportunities for engagement. Please, for the public, attend the budget hearings at the city council meeting, attend the budget oversight committee meetings, which are primarily before the city council meetings, attend the community budget meetings, which are usually in the early evening hours throughout all 9 districts, throughout the entire 52 square miles of the city, participate in the budget survey on funding priorities, use the Open Long Beach app to explore the proposed budget visually. Tom, if you can hold up the document that we have all there. So all this stuff is in this packet, so please take that and you can review all that at your leisure, and we'll be handing this out to everyone who attends any one of our meetings. So with that, I am done. I do want to highlight our finance director, John Gross, our budget team led by budget manager Grace Ewan. She has a whole team that worked on this religiously. I can't say enough about you guys.